Hey guys, this is Nikki.
This is Sam.
Welcome back to So What? What's Next?
I spent the bag on the bundle now. Turn around and take a flip and make a double. Listen, baby, with me you ain't never gotta struggle. I'm in the game 650, catch a triple double. Watch it tumble, tumble, watch it tumble. Tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. This is coming and keep on tumbling. Watch it tumble, tumble, watch it tumble. Tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. This is coming and keep on tumbling.
Welcome back to So What? What's Next? We appreciate your patronage of our podcast. Before we jump into today's latest episode, we definitely wanted to ask you to do us a favor. Go to the various platforms where you listen to this amazing podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whether it be Tidal, whatever platform you're using, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, and whatever ones that are out there that I haven't mentioned and probably are being invented as we speak. We ask you to go out there now and subscribe to the So What? What's Next podcast. As we continue to build our audience, we know that it only grows by you liking, sharing, rating, and subscribing to the podcast. So we ask that you do that now if you haven't done that already. And if you could do Sam a quick favor and share that with at least 3 other people. That would be amazing. We're the same handle on all platforms. So what, what's next?
Nikki, that is a great intro. Great intro. As we grow, hopefully we can find a way to get a podcast on a NASA. So the people that's going to the space can check that out. I know Elon and Bezos is getting the fuck up out of here. They tired of our shit.
Look. The aliens don't even want to come down near. They trying to go up there to them. Like, come on, man. But, you know, actually, forgive me. Hey, Sam, how are you?
I am good. I am really, really good. We had a great first episode, and I'm a little concerned, though, Nikki.
Okay, tell me why you're concerned. Tell me.
I am concerned because I watched the Hawks lose yesterday. I'm a little upset about that. The wing prices are not coming down. They are not coming down.
Yesterday was a day, right? Like a lot of things happened yesterday, from the chicken wing inflation situation to Sha'carri Richardson to, Bill Cosby, being freed. And yesterday was a lot. July 1st really kicked off really wonky.
Dude, July 1st brought the heat. Let's be real. July 1st went on a 20-5 run.
At the start of the third quarter.
At the start of the first. Like, the game is over. Game over. There's nothing.
Like, what else is going to happen today?
Dude, I'm in disbelief. I walk around in disbelief. I wanted to buy some chicken wings, but once again.
So let's jump into that, right? Come on, now tell me, Sam, what's going on with Chicken Wing Gate? Like, what we touched on it last week when we were talking about, the recent inflation due to chicken and due to gas and things. But we got to start with what's near and dear to our hearts, especially because our chicken levels are exceptionally low right now. So what's going on? Like, how did that come about?
So, you know how we always say that Democrats do things that affect the long-term viability of what goes on in the country, and that Republicans have more of a short-term way of changing the country, helping the country out?
Correct.
Well, Trump decided that he was on his war path to get immigrants out of the country, right? He was like, yo, illegal immigrants got to get the fuck up out of here. We're not having this shit no more. I'm on it. So instead of him actually arresting like cartel members or I don't know, California gangbangers, he went to like the local chicken houses in Mississippi and arrested like 700 chicken workers. 700 chicken workers from Mississippi got arrested. And that is causing a huge vibration through the chicken wing market.
Right, because of those different plants that are all across what we like to call those red states or those flyover states, right?
Mm-hmm.
those plants that are out there, they hire a large population of immigrants that are willing to come over and work hard, in order to earn money and send it back to their families. And instead of attacking true central issues, they decided to go and raid these various plants of the hardworking immigrants that make sure that our fruits and vegetables, and most importantly, chicken, is delivered to our grocery stores for us to consume for the playoffs, for upcoming sporting events, and this, most especially for these holidays that are out here. It's just kind of put us in a situation where the price of poultry has increased. And just for clarity here, we're making light of the situation, but in all honesty,
shit ain't funny.
It's a serious situation because it will flow into other industries, into other areas. So ultimately, from what we gathered, due to the stimulus payouts, due to the focus on immigration, due to these different factors, the various chicken farms or the poultry farms, things of that nature, are having a hard time staffing people because, number one, they're not paying them. Number two, they can make more sitting at home and actually taking a break. And then last but not least, they're not willing or considering a way to pay a better wage for people to support and take care of their families. Like, we're in a situation where we don't know how serious this is going to be, but we know that most of the unemployment or the stimulus benefits are going to end when, in like September? Is it September?
I think so. But you know what's crazy though, Nikki, when you really think about it, I'm not as smart as Republicans and Democrats and politicians. My education is very limited. And if you check my Twitter feed, it's a walking grammatical error. But it would have made more sense to me that if you'd actually put, immigration judges outside of the Mississippi Chicken House.
Yep.
To maybe grant them asylum, maybe process their green cards a little faster, to make them citizens since they're viable people in the community. It just seems like something that
you're
probably should have done.
That makes sense, right? I think ultimately, when you look at it, it just, this whole, hourly wage, which I think we touched on in season 1, increasing that per hour earnings, being able to provide a decent wage to workers, I think that ultimately has a great return on investment, right? So like you said, if you're able to get people citizenship, show them a path to being able to earn their own money, you're going to have a higher percentage of people that rise to the occasion than the people who are just there to collect benefits and payments. I mean, how many stories have we seen over the last couple of weeks and months of people who have increased their minimum wage to $15 or higher? Right. And it's led to more productivity. It's led to an increase in, applications, customer satisfaction, speed of service. There's so many different pluses that come into effect when that happens. But, I guess for the short term here, we got to start pivoting to other pieces of the chicken. So like I said last week, definitely plan on making Wingstop one of my first places to go to next week. I am healing from a wisdom tooth extraction. I had all 4 of them pulled on Monday. So I've been on the liquid diet. So I am excited. I am so excited that next week
it's time for some meat.
It is time for some meat in more than one way. So I am pulling up to Wingstop next week, honey, and I am getting me some lemon pepper thighs because honestly, that's the best part of the chicken. I'm not going to argue with you. Go ahead and debate your mom that's missing like half of her edges on the right side. But like, I am fully all in on, these lemon pepper thighs that I will be getting from Wingstop next week because, I got to get my chicken levels increased. And then hopefully, Sam, I think we were talking by the fall, by the time football season is in full swing, we'll be back on, our flats and drums.
Man, I'm praying that we back on flats and drums by that time. Hopefully, I'm going to pray. I don't know what's going on. People have
stopped. Restaurants have had to stop putting together their wing specials. Where you can get like 20, 40, 50 pieces and whatnot. Yeah. They either had to, number one, increase the price or say, hey, we're going to limit you at 20 wings per family or 20 wings per order. And that's just not a country I want to live in. That's not a world I want to, be in right now.
And you know what's like? I seen that they had like a wing special for like 75 cents a wing. It used to be 50 cents a wing. Well, at one time it was 25 cents a wing.
Look, I was getting ready to say, I'm old
75
enough to remember when it was 25 cents a wing. We went to BW3s and
Hey,
was going there and
BW3s
setting
go
wings
hard.
up.
Hey, BW3s and Tally go hard. Let's
Hard,
hey, pay homage.
extremely
Pay
hard.
homage.
But
Pay homage.
you know,
Good
but you
times.
know who else goes hard?
Who's that?
You know who else goes hard? Let's shift into our favorite our favorite female athlete. Let's shift into Sha'carri Richardson flying high.
So
On.
you said go hard. I thought you was gonna say the
You were
frozen
going
pudding.
somewhere.
Frozen
You thought I
pudding
was going
pops.
somewhere.
Yeah, I thought you were going frozen pudding pops.
No, man, I'm shifting. I'm gonna save Bill Cosby for last because that's our so what's next segment, man. I can't even. I'm still formulating thoughts and processing all the things that have happened there. But
Okay, let's
you
go.
know, I love Sha'carri Richardson. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. I love seeing Black excellence. I believe she is, what's next, up and coming. I also believe that, while she has been seeing success, there have been people that, number one, attack her femininity, people that have attacked her ability to, get out on that track and truly show her ability to be the next FloJo, Gail Devers, Jackie Jordan Kersey, whatever you have, right?
Right.
So while she's been getting all the praise, she's also been getting a lot of heat. And it just came out recently that she will not be able to compete in the Tokyo Olympics due to a positive drug test. She tested positive for marijuana. And I'm not going to get into the total details. I'm just going to say that she participated in some type of marijuana, whether it was an edible or smoking, however she did it. It was enough where it popped up on the drug test. So it wasn't kind of like I had a puff pass moment. It was kind of like, an exorbitant amount. But at the same token, she did a interview where she said that there was a lot of things going on in her personal life. The passing of her mother, coping with that, also coping with the newfound attention and attraction from her, her stardom. Along with, she actually, was smoking marijuana. Well, she she had weed in a state where it was legal. It was legal for her to do. It was okay for her to do. It just was not legal for the Olympic, for the Olympic Committee to let her or allow her to move forward here in Tokyo. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Okay, first of all, I want to say that Sha'carri.
Come on now.
I thought you said Sha'carri.
It's Sha'carri. It's Sha'carri Richardson.
I want to say that Sha'carri Richardson handled the punishment very well, and she did that, so I don't have to. I think it's complete bullshit. So, so I'm just gonna read something. The World of Anti-Doping Agency recently changed the rules regarding how much cannabis was allowed in an athlete's blood. The threshold was raised to 15 milliliters to 150 milliliters, which gives indication of the agency and concerns about the athlete smoking during the games, but not in weeks prior to the competition. So clearly, it's okay to fucking smoke marijuana. You just
but like I said, the amount, like I didn't want to go into the details, but remember I told you I was like, she's flying high on and off the track.
Right.
Like, the amount she had was an exorbitant amount compared to what they're testing for. So,
right. My thing is this: like all these rules and regulations, like what are they in place for? Like marijuana, why is marijuana like? My thing is this: I don't think they are being racist against Miss Richardson. I don't think they're being racist against her. Okay,
I think they're being racist as a whole.
I think the institution is racist.
Yeah, as a whole. Why are we testing for weed?
Why are we testing for weed?
Because marijuana technically is not a performance enhancing drug, right? It has not shown where people perform better on marijuana versus off of it, right?
Right.
So I totally believe, to a certain extent, I'm not going to go all the way in, but I totally believe that drug testing, anytime someone uses drug testing to justify certain types of benefits or admissions or things of that nature, I believe it's rooted in racism.
You know what's
do I want you to drug test my doctor? Absolutely. I don't want my surgeon operating on me if they're, if they're not fully in a place, right? But I'm not. I am all about making sure that we have punishments that fit the crime. I am not absolving Sha'carri for her weed usage because she knows the rules, right? Not saying that, it's a good rule. I'm saying that as you compete, these things are not a surprise that they're going to drug test you. It's not a surprise that you're going to smoke weed. And I'm under the impression that at her age, and I may be projecting here, at her age, she probably thought the amount of weed that she smoked would not have been an issue. Right. And this is something that has already come out. She's already, attended her the required class around it. She's already, held herself accountable for it. She's done the public press run. I would have preferred her to go probably to a Black journalist. I would have loved for her to do that and give them that exclusive first. But she's making the rounds. She's doing what she's supposed to do. She's not blaming anyone. And the most perfect thing she said is, "Hey, I'm human. I am human." Not only is she human, she's 21 years old?
Yeah, but I mean, there's no reason for her to apologize for smoking weed. Like, and I guess my biggest thing is, okay, she smoked marijuana. It's in the rules. But guess what? I watch y'all apply rules differently to different people all the time. And that's my biggest problem with this shit. Like,
right.
Okay. We wouldn't even have gun laws if it wasn't for Black people buying guns. We wouldn't have them. Yep. You better freely go buy whatever gun you wanted to, whenever you wanted to, however you wanted to. If Black people didn't buy guns. It's just a fact. And it's like, we're talking about marijuana. We're talking about like the idea that we have people locked up in prison for marijuana is ridiculous. Like, we use these laws to criminalize and demonize people, when these other people, like, we have people that control our 401ks, our stocks, our economy, that are cokeheads.
They're doing hard drugs right now.
Hard drugs.
They wake up.
Hard drugs.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the biggest thing. To reiterate, right? Like, Sha'carri has already accepted her suspension. She's done the treatment requirements. She's accepting the consequences. She's moving on and moving forward. Then we have a group of people that are saying, like us, that agree with us, saying that the the whole testing thing is just rooted in racism and not really applying the rules even keeled. And then we have some people that are just shitting on this girl and just basically saying, y'all was just hyping her up, putting her all over the timeline and putting her all in the text messages and whatnot, and she let you down. And it's kind of one of those things where I just wish we could all find a way to, number one, understand the bigger picture here. How do we prevent this from happening to the next Sha'carri Richardson, right? What rules, how do we lobby? How do we modify? How do we change or influence the next Olympic trials to where we continue to have some type of erosion of this type of back and forth in reference to drug testing, right? Like, are we testing for steroids? Are we testing for hard drugs? Are we because, I mean, there's different effects to different people because our body compositions are all different, right? Like, going back to the whole Lance Armstrong thing, right? Like, he was doping up during all those Tour de France, doing all of those different biking tours and whatnot. And he won, and then it came with the ridicule and it came with all these other different things. And I don't want that to happen to Sha'carri moving forward. I'm hoping that she continues to stay, focused, encouraged, and understanding that while she may miss this Olympics, that, today starts the day where you train for your next Olympic trial. Yeah,
I mean, she's gonna transcend running. I think she is that great of an athlete, I think she is that great of an athlete. Especially the way she was running, she's very effortless. It's like she's a float. I mean, she's gonna break a lot of records. Marijuana has nothing to do with that. Like, I think that a lot of times what we see is certain drugs have a certain penalty on them. And a lot of times in the black community, I feel like we have to find ways to cope with certain things. And not saying necessarily her. I think therapy is available to her, but it is taboo in the black community. And you know, she was dealing with a lot, and people can be like, "Well, she need to understand it." Like it's crazy to me how much latitude is given to one group of people than the other group of people. Like we have to come down on other people with an iron fucking fist. And the other people, we want to coddle them and tell them it's gonna be okay. We want to free Britney. We want to free Britney right now. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't saying Britney don't need to be free, but we want to free Britney.
Right.
And, you know, but it's just like, it's weird to me because I think we have a revisionist history on the way people act.
That's it. That's it 100%. And from someone who has lost their mother, right? Like for me, like it's ebbs and flows, it's ups and downs. Like this girl, I think she just lost her mom within the last month. Like within the last month, right? You know, and as someone like, you know, myself, like literally I'm going into month 3 and, you know, every day I want to call my mom. Every day I want to just, you know, hear her voice or, you know, have her fuss at me for something that, you know, moms fuss about. Right. And while marijuana is not my choice of coping mechanism, I'm not knocking her if that's her choice. If she needed to have that release and have that moment to, you know, feel like herself, have that moment of normalcy and be able to, you know, cope with the losses. I don't know the relationship between her and her mother. Right. But whatever it is, good, bad, or indifferent, she's allowed the space to heal, to cope, to move forward. And if she chose, you know, weed to do that, you know, I'm not here to knock it. I just want people to have the same grace and compassion for her, knowing that it's a lot to deal with as an adult. It's a lot to deal with at 21.
When you're trying to transcend your surroundings and what's going on around you, you're trying to transcend that. That is a lonely, that's a lonely climb, you know? And when you lose somebody that close on that lonely climb, it's hard to, I mean, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? And that's not just for a pro athlete. That's for somebody that's trying to transcend people in the family that just make $20,000 a year. You trying to make $160,000 a year. It's hard transcending that. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of things to deal with when you're trying to rise above things, man. And I'm not some guy that sit around and smoke blunts every night or blunts every week or whatever, man. But shit, I've had a bad back and I've had to get some cream.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's out of control, man. And they put these drug tests on warehouse jobs. They put them on forklift jobs. They put them on these type of, they don't want to hire people because they smoke a joint. And most of the drug addicts are in the supervision office. It's like all kind of weird to me. Like I just.
You know,
allegedly.
Like I said, I'm not saying that you should totally eliminate all drug tests. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that as far as marijuana is concerned, I feel like that's one of the ones you take off of the list. Just my personal opinion. You brought up a good point, though. You said, you know, we wanted to free Britney, but July 1st brought us free Bill. So, you know, TV's, you know, not TV, Black America's TV dad is free, I guess. Is that what we still call him or refer to him as?
And Nikki, black social media is at fucking war right now. I can't go to Twitter or Facebook without black social media like tearing at the seams. It's out of control right now. It's out of control. Are you seeing this?
Yes. So here's the thing, right? From my personal opinion, when the news came across, I knew that things were going to go immediately left, to the point where I was like, I cannot wait for the basketball game tonight so we can start talking about the Hawks and the Bucks and get off of this topic, because I just knew it was going to go extremely left. My take on the whole thing is, so Bill Cosby's sentence was vacated due to him having a prior agreement with the former prosecutor. I want to say the state prosecutor, the Pennsylvania state prosecutor, having an agreement of oh my God, it's one of those things that's
so it's a handshake agreement. It was
when you put it in words, it just makes you even more, well, it makes me even more frustrated. But there was basically agreement in place where he admitted his guilt and basically would absolve him from any type of a long-term prison sentence. Right? That's the agreement that was in place, which technically means the trial that happened should not have taken place, but it did. And because of the prior agreement with the former prosecutor, who also has ties to the former president.
Okay, so was it the former? Was it the former? No, I think the prosecutor was different.
The former prosecutor,
the lawyer that Bill Cosby used to get this information was the same lawyer that Trump had for the Jan 6.
He was the former prosecutor for the state of Pennsylvania.
Oh, he was?
That was my understanding, right? That they got that information.
Let me
based on a prior relationship. We can do a quick Google, but basically Bill Cosby's free based on a technicality that came up, which, you know, shows just how crooked and how well the legal system can be applied in these situations, right? It basically says the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned Bill Cosby's sexual assault conviction on Wednesday, paving the way for the 83-year-old to be released from prison, serving more than 2 years of a 3 to 10 year sentence. The court said that a promise of a previous prosecutor had made not to prosecute Bill Cosby in order to compel him to testify in a civil lawsuit, which meant he couldn't legally be charged in the case. So the previous prosecutor basically had, you know, asked Bill Cosby, or in some shape, form, or fashion, they came to some agreement where he would admit guilt, but would not face any criminal prosecution, but would face any type of civil penalties coming from the civil lawsuit, right? Okay. So that's basically where it came from. And ultimately, the deposition was used like recently in order, I think the statute of limitations was about to come up on another case, and they were able to use this in order to tie it into both cases, if I'm reading this correctly.
Right.
So
they can't retry him.
They cannot. And at this point, he's 83. He served almost 3 years of the 3 to 10 years, which in my mind, you know, they're going to give him credit for time served.
Right.
The issue that I think everybody has with this is that in some shape, form, or fashion, he has admitted guilt, right? And I think the industry has known for.
I want to talk about this though. I want to talk about the Cosby admitting guilt thing, because all right, because I think we finna get into consent, right?
We're gonna tap into consent as well as safe spaces.
Yeah, safe spaces and consent, right? So, and I think I've told you this. I had a blind spot to consent, right?
Yes.
And I also found it funny last night that women was like, I love when a man begs. Like, it's talking about Keith Sweat last night. I was like, oh, now begging is okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like,
begging in R&B and good R&B music. Yes.
It's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to beg. All right. You know, some might call that harassment if she say no the first time. But I find, so, okay, with one of them, they asked Bill Cosby. I want to pull this actual real quote up, though. I want to pull it up. I'm sorry. This is bad podcast. But anyway, one of them was, they asked Bill Cosby, did he put a Quaalude in a girl's drink when she was in his hotel room?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think my biggest problem is, and this is what I'm going to say. If a woman does not, like, I have this thing, and I told you this, Nikki. I don't leave it up for interpretation when I'm dealing with a woman, right?
Right. We go right in for the ass. We go in and we need to hear the yes.
Yes, I need you to say, hey, I'm coming over your house because I want to have sex. Like, don't say I'm coming over and I want a back rub. That's not telling me you want to have sex. That's saying you want a back rub.
Because if you come over to the crib, guess what you're getting? A back rub.
Right. Right? Because if I interpret that to be anything else, then I am not, you haven't consented to that. And I could be dead ass wrong, right? So I always tell a woman, like, hey, and I'm talking about even in a relationship, I would be like, yo, if you want to have sex that day, you need to let me know. Send me a text message early in the morning and let me know when I'm at work. Like, send me a picture. Like, let me know what's up. You know what I'm saying? Don't come over to my house and be like, oh, well, I expect you to just take it. Because it's like, we have to stop doing this. Like, we have to stop leaving all this gray area in these
no
situations.
breadcrumbs. No breadcrumbs. Let's get straight to the slice, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's get to it. And I think a lot of reasons why is because these things have been ingrained in culture, right? Like, these are things that, you know, we were taught that, you know, you have to make a man work for it. You have to do these things, and you have to do, you know, it's always led with some type of either protective type of form or some type of freedom, right? And in essence, you know, I'm thankful for the male figures that I have in my life because they were always very clear. You know, should you be able to go over to a man's house and him not touch you? Absolutely. You should be able to do that.
Right.
To protect yourself, do not go to this man's house unless you feel 100% safe being in his presence and consenting to sex, right? Because the understanding is that if you're going over there, that's what's going to happen, versus it should be, you know, it doesn't even have to be, I would love for there to be a level of respect, but at some form, there should be some type of agreement that sex is going to happen. And if you come over there and the intention is not sex, and you come over there, or you're in other spaces, it's like, okay, like, you know, I'm feeling a little froggy and I want to jump. Right?
Yeah, tell me you don't want to do this.
I know we didn't come over here for this, but if you down, I'm down type of joint, right? Like, and I think a lot of times it doesn't come up because, you know, people don't want to be too forward, or sometimes people don't want to assume. I also think it doesn't come up sometimes because people don't want to hear no, or their fear of the rejection, right? And then it makes it awkward, you know, so that comes up. But I think ultimately one of my friends brought up a really good point too, where they said, you know, were there instances where Bill and women were doing quaaludes together, and then at that point, does that deem the woman incapable of giving consent? And I'm like, well, obviously no one should be giving consent, right? If we're both, you know, out of our minds at this point, you know, it's kind of hard to decipher if we're really, you know, truly able to give consent, which then goes into alcohol, right? So if we're both drunk, you know, how do we verify consent? And I said, you know, those situations do happen, but if people have a true track record, we are creatures and humans of habit, right? We repeat patterns. And there are instances where Bill did not act alone, right? There were instances in where his wife Camille was engaged with getting these women in and out of the home, or finding ways to cover these things up, because this was basically what he did, right? So I have no heaven or hell to put Bill Cosby in. I am one of those people where, you know, I try to go off of the facts. Yes. Did he consent? I mean, I'm sorry. Did he admit guilt? Did he sign a confession saying that he has done these things? He absolutely did. And, you know, there are instances where we see every day where Black men have been coerced into signing, you know,
well, I want to read this. Let me read this.
Confessions and things of that nature. But in this instance, people don't say the same things about you decade over decade, years and years and years.
Right.
And everybody's lying.
Yeah, no. I think he's definitely a fucking creep.
Absolutely.
Definitely a creep, right? So,
absolutely.
Okay, in this deposition right here, I'm going to read right now. This woman came over to the Bill Cosby hotel room late at night, okay? In the sworn deposition, Cosby answered the question for custody, and attorney Dolores Troney. When you got the Quaaludes, quote, when you got the Quaaludes, was in your mind that you were going to use these Quaaludes for young women that you wanted to have sex with? The lawyer asked Cosby. Yes.
He asked this to Bill. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my thing is, hold on. Other part. Did you ever give any young women the Quaaludes without their knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
The lawyer asked. Cosby objected and told him. Cosby attorney objected and told him not to answer the question. All right. So my thing is this. Back then, it was like a lot of drugs going on back then. And like, I hate to tell people this shit, but like people like Richard Pryor, Paul Mooney, like Marlon Brando, people that people looked up to, was into all types of bisexual, sexual activities that was going on and stuff like that. And I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying, like, if you come over, if I'm Bill Cosby and you know I'm throwing drug parties to have sex with people, you don't need to go to that fucking party. Like I would tell, like, I think, man, you talked about this. It's certain football players that me and you both have been around. And I'd be like, yo, that's somebody I don't want to be around. Like that's a weird vibe that guy give off. That guy give off a weird vibe.
There's a real creepy vibe here. Right. Yep. We don't have to mention any names, but yes.
Yeah, it's something there. I don't know what it is, but it's something there. You know what I'm saying? And I like, and then at the same time, I'm like, why would a dude want to have sex with a girl that's passed completely out? Like, isn't half of the pleasure is her getting pleasure? So that's also a very weird vibe. You know what I'm saying? So and so is he I think he's guilty of being a creep. I really believe that. And I do believe that he promised women things as he was creeping on them and having sex with them, and he didn't do those things that he promised. Because men do this type of shit. They promise shit, don't do the
with
shit
no intention of executing, right? Yeah.
No intention to execute, and people's feelings get hurt. And I'm not saying that he's not guilty. He is guilty. If you give a woman drugs and pass her out and have sex with her, that's weird, disgusting shit.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't understand. Like, I think it is so hard to determine innocence or guilt in these sexual assault cases, to the point that I blame the men. Because as a man, now that we have more information and more awareness, you have to really be on your P's and Q's. Like, one woman told me, she said, "Sam, you never leave anything up to the imagination." You damn right I don't.
Nope.
Like, if you come over here and say, "I just want to come and lay next to you," that's what we finna do. You finna lay next to me, I'm going to sleep.
That's it. That's literally it.
Yeah, that's it. Because that's what you said. I can't make more out of that than what you said, because I don't want nobody waking up the next day and being like, I don't know what happened. I feel kind of weird because now he don't want to.
You don't want to be in that position, right? I tell people all the time, protect your freedom, right? And the best way to do that is through communication. So make it be known, and you have to take the risk of whether that woman's going to say yes or no, right?
Right.
And then it's one of those things of respecting the no. So if you hear a no, you know,
it's no.
It's no. And I think the ultimate thing that really turned everyone on their head yesterday is that as soon as the news came down and you saw these people, you know, celebrating and saying, you know, bill free now, my dude home, and this, that, and the third, I typically, you know, I don't even engage. At that point, I just, you know, I don't even mute. I unfollow and I block, because that tells me right there your feels about it, right? Because everybody's on Bill Cosby's side until it's your mom, your aunt, your sister, your cousin, your friend. Like, you get what I'm saying? You can. It's easy to be on that side, and please understand, I am not saying that every accusation is true.
Right.
I think we've all seen situations where we have close friends or even family members that have been part of false accusations, and where we've seen where these false accusations have ruined people's lives, right, in their futures. I also understand that out of, I think the latest statistic was maybe out of every 1,000 rapes, maybe 7 to 8 are reported.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which is tragic. And out of those 7 to 8 that are reported, a lot of them don't end up in convictions. The victim very rarely, if ever, receives any type of justice.
And I think that it was a stat that, I don't know, it's like 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 women have been either sexually assaulted or sexually harassed at some point in time in their lives.
Yes,
that's a big ass number. Right. That's
a large number. That's a large number.
Right?
I mean, then we have that same conversation around, you know, like, I remember being in high school, even worse. I remember being in middle school, and there's grown men coming around the block at the bus stop. Why are grown men circling the bus stop for middle school and high school girls? Like, stuff like that. And, you know, and when you're younger, you're like, oh, you think I'm cute, this, and this, and he got a car.
Right.
But in hindsight, when you look at it, it's like, that is pathetic.
It's disgusting.
That is absolutely disgusting. And, you know, I just always think back to those points of, you know, hearing survivors, hearing, you know, the women have to recount these things, and sometimes having to still interact or engage with the person who sexually assaulted them or sexually harassed them. Right. So when I see people coming on, and I get it, you know, people get on social media for jokes, engagement, and likes and laughs and all these other different things, right? I just think that when you have people coming out, especially someone like who was recently appointed a dean at Howard University, that basically doubles down and says that, you know, justice has been served. I have to take that on two different angles, right? I have to take it that, number one, she has a personal relationship with Bill and she chooses to believe in his innocence. And I have to also take it as, you know, if you are responsible of helping students and creating a safe space for them, and you are applauding a rapist and saying that he's now free, how safe do these women feel to come to you if something like this is happening to them? Well, right? How likely are they going to engage with you on these types of issues? What's the likelihood of someone wanting to be around this type of environment based on your interactions? And I think me and Post was having this conversation around, you know, people saying that everyone's entitled to their opinion, which I 100% agree with. Right?
Yeah, but your opinion does expose who you are, though. Now,
come
I'm
on,
trying to tell people that.
You're preaching.
You're entitled to it. You're entitled to it, but your opinion does expose you, right?
And and people say, well, it's free speech. And I'm like, okay, we have to understand that free speech is not necessarily free. Right? Right? Because if you are employed or if you are awarded the opportunity to be in a certain position where you have to be an advocate for your students, be an advocate for your university, be an advocate for your company, whatever capacity you serve in, you have to also take into consideration that you are the person that people are going to come to for these issues. And if you're not creating that environment that allows for that to happen,
right,
and you're saying your opinion, if you want to continue to say your opinion freely without any implications or any cancellations, then do that. Do that as an independent person. Do that aside from any type of appointment or any role that you're in, right? But once you are into this role, once you are appointed and you've accepted and you sign on a dotted line around any type of representation that you have to understand that you have to be careful with what you say, including your own personal opinion.
Well, you know, and I think what really happened with her speaking is, I think a lot of black women, you know what? I'm not gonna say black women. I'm gonna say women. I'm gonna say women in general have a problem with the older women, the older woman generation, right? Because they create the shelter for these abusers, right? They create the space for these abusers, and that's a deeper conversation, man. And man, I
would love for us to bring on, you know, a professional to help us navigate and walk through that. I know from our personal opinions and our personal experiences, we know we've seen it happen where the older black women, you know, kind of coddle these things, like you know, it's kind of like, you know, you always have that family member that says, hey, don't go around Uncle James, right?
Yeah.
Or when Uncle James come here, sit over here. Or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, that type of thing. Instead of saying, Uncle James, your nasty ass can't be here.
Yeah, you can't come. Like,
don't
you can't
come
be
over here.
Right.
Now and you sending out the code to all the girls, all the girl children in the family of, you know, Uncle James, you can't, you know, don't go. If you got to go to the bathroom, let me know. Or if you go here, let me know where you
by yourself.
You know, you gotta do all these things.
Yeah, and I think that's a deeper conversation that I think that needs to happen, because it's true, right? Because we see certain women of certain cultures give shade to racism, right? They give shade to that. They give shelter to that. And you see them try to play both sides of the fence when we're talking about the evilness of misogyny and the evilness of this institution, and then on the other side, you have this evilness of sexual acts, and it's all wrong. It's all wrong, and I think that we need to get rid of the taboo of sex and start having a conversation, like a real conversation about sex, because I told you.
Yeah, you have to recalibrate the conversation, right?
Right. Because I told you, I said I didn't even realize certain things about consent until I watched that TV show, the morning show.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So they show the most grotesque guy that you, the guy that you picture as this sexual deviant, right? Then they show you this good guy, right? This good guy, like he's a good guy. He's a great
Perfect
guy.
image. Everyone loves him.
Everybody loves him. They have women have sex with him. They forgive him. They love him. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see how he takes advantage of that without even knowing. He's knowingly sexually abusing somebody and has no fucking clue.
None. Rolled over and went to sleep.
No clue. And
thought she had a good time.
Right. So, that really
opened your eyes.
Yeah, and when I watched that show, it really opened my eyes. And I ain't gonna lie, I made a few phone calls and I asked a few questions because I was really concerned.
Yeah, you just wanted to make sure you ain't had no exposure out there. That's all.
Right. I'm like, damn, that's kind of weird, right? Like I just assumed.
That makes total sense. But I think, as we continue to navigate season 2 here, we'll have some expert opinions that'll help us to better formulate our words and thoughts around this and help us to look at things from, all angles, right? Because Sam and I are not always right, but we're damn sure not always wrong.
Right. I mean, you can find a happy medium of where all the argument is the argument. And I think it's good that we have the conversation. It's not good that these deep, dark, ugly things are happening and no one's discussing it. And everybody's saying, just be quiet, or you shouldn't wear this, or you shouldn't look like this, or you shouldn't talk to him. Which
lets me know that the word has been out about Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. What's your boy's name? Played Green Goblin. What's your boy's name?
Oh man, you're not talking about
from back. I can't think of his name right now. I see his face.
Not James Franco.
Yeah. No. It's him. He just had to pay out like a $2.2 million settlement as well from being creepy too, right? So he's like, I think he paid out $2.2 million to settle a lawsuit accusing him and his associates of sexual exploitation of women trying out for various like roles and things. Right. So he gets to pay a $2.2 million settlement without admitting guilt, right? And there's been stories about him out there for ages too, right? He's just happened to be a younger creep. So I mean, there's a lot of it out there, but ultimately,
need space to work, man. People need space to work and be creative without having to be sexualized. All right.
Yeah,
I think that's where we need to go with this.
If the role is calling for it, right? Let's say there is a role, you have to specify it. Right now, my friends that are in acting, they get certain callbacks for certain types of roles, certain types of characters, and usually, if their agent's worth anything, their agent tells them that this is a sex scene or this is this, and it's going to require X, Y, Z, and basically walk them through what all of that means, right? And then there are some instances where some people are just, really creepy, right? Like they're like, hey, I work for this top, A-list celebrity, and I'm casting for this role in this movie, and I need you to get on all fours and then chains and whatnot. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different ways that these things can go, but once you get to a place where you're almost humiliating yourself and things of that nature. It's almost one of those things where you have to reverse engineer and say, am I being taken advantage of? Is this the right thing to do? You're having all of these ideas that are going through your mind, and you're trying to make the right decision. And in the moment, you're not always going to make the right decision. But it's like the people who have power know what they're doing.
In my opinion, and I've said this before, men get mad at me when I say this shit. But
men get what now?
Men get upset with me when I say this shit.
When you say this, okay.
I don't need sex in my movies. And I'm not saying like don't have a sex scene. I'm saying you can give me something that moves us to I know they had sex without showing me all of this stuff. Because my opinion is if I want to watch porn, I'm gonna just watch porn. Like I don't need all of this shit because like for instance, Power, for instance. How many times does Jamie need to fuck Angela for me to know they having sex? How many times do I need to see that? How many times? Like, how many times do you have to fuck her for me to know that Jamie loves Angela?
Yeah, I mean, so I can take it or leave it, right? Give me the scene or give me the implied sex scene, right? Either
give
way,
me the implied sex scene.
I can take it or leave it. I just feel that, you know, it comes back to the power structure, right? So whoever's in power has control. And that's why I say I don't necessarily always blame the women. I don't always necessarily blame the men. I just think that if you have a pattern of doing this, then that's when it becomes towards a deviated,
but you know, what's funny about Hollywood is they say they need these sex scenes to show the passion between the two people. But when Harry Belafonte was making movies, he was saying that it was roles that caused for him to kiss the white woman.
Yep.
Or Denzel had a role with Julia Roberts in Pelican Brief where they were supposed to have a sex scene, right? Well, these scenes never happened, right? So Denzel and Harry Belafonte had to find a different way to show this sexualization or this passion between them. So Harry Belafonte said he took a fruit and he ate off the same fruit as the white woman, right? He ate the fruit so sexual and gave it to her, and she ate it so sexual that everybody knew.
Everybody knew. Yeah.
So you don't need it. You don't need it. But it feels like it's a bunch of creeps in Hollywood that like to do these women like this. And I think sometimes it's too much. I mean, I'm okay with it. If a woman consents to it, it's fine, whatever. But like even in Game of Thrones, it's some scenes in Game of Thrones. I'm just like, why are we watching this? Like,
yeah, you know, I mean, in some spaces it is an art form, right? You know, and like I said, you know, people need the engagement, right? So if I know there's going to be a sex scene, or I know there's going to be something sexual or some type of sexual innuendo or whatever, I'm more likely to tune in or be engaged or be involved in this, you know, this production or whatever the case may be. What I do know is that a lot of crazy things happened before we were born. Crazy things are happening while we're here, and crazy things will continue to happen once we've moved on from this space and from this life. It's just one of those things that I'm hoping that as a society and as, you know, especially us as parents, that we continue to change the tone around consent, knowing and having agency over our bodies, being able to, you know, be sex positive, being able to be free, but also doing that on our own free will, and being able to have our kids understand what, you know, that means, and not be the same people perpetuating rape culture and different things that have happened. But we got a few more minutes left. I want to kind of touch on the Tabitha Brown and Wendy Williams situation. Did you get a chance to get into that?
You know what? I saw what Tabitha said, and I saw a little bit of what Wendy said. I got to be honest with you. You know this. I'm not a big gossip.
You're not into the daytime. You're not into the daytime talk show. Type of vibe.
So I catch a little bit of it on Twitter, but when I seen the way Tabitha was talking to her, I saw the poor baby, you out of pocket, poor baby, like that type of like vibe, like.
So just to kind of level set right quick, Wendy Williams, of course, she has her talk show, and Tabitha Brown is a beautiful Black woman who has taken over our hearts, right? She is she's vegan. She is I think a mother of one or two to a beautiful daughter named Choice. Her husband is a cop. I think he's LAPD or something of that nature. And Tabitha has taken over the health and wellness and you know, healthy segments for the Black community. Being a vegan and being that she, you know, rose to social media fame so fast, you know, when you say her name, people automatically hear her voice, right? Because it has that warm, velvety, auntie, I love you, let me take care of you, here's some brownies type of voice, right? So with that being said, her husband, I believe, you know, they were celebrating the opportunity where he could actually retire. Right now, she's the breadwinner, right? And I think
Prosper King. Prosper King.
You know, at this point, hey, if she like it, I love it. So with that being said, Wendy just said some really disparaging things, which she gets paid to do, right? She gets paid to bring up these hot topics and she talks about them. And she basically, kind of went sideways on Tabitha Brown about, taking care of her man and that, ultimately, she doesn't see why she would do that. And it doesn't make sense. And, all these other different things. To the point where Tabitha Brown didn't even know she was a topic of conversation until she said in her video, her 5-minute video, where she said that, people were texting her. It's like, oh, you want Wendy Williams? You want Wendy Williams? And for the next 5 minutes, Tabitha Brown proceeds to take the hand of Jesus and place it over her heart and reads Wendy Williams to the high heavens without one cuss word, without raising her voice, without calling her out of her name. And literally the one line that kind of hit me when she was like, oh, the pain she must feel, the pain she must have experienced to say these types of things. And I was like, come on, Tabitha, I know this is about to be the Pulitzer Prize winning read that I need in my life right now. And Tabitha, the paraphrasing the Nikki version, she basically said, I know you ain't never had nobody to love you like my man loved me, but I was willing to sacrifice while he pursued his dream. Now he can sacrifice as I pursue mine, as I go into acting, as I do these things. And I know you don't know how that feels, but I do. And I pray that for you. I pray that you get help, that you continue to heal, and that you move on and move forward and prosper, Queen. Now, Tabitha's better than me because I would have found a couple of 4-letter words to drop in there, probably a couple of little, names to call her, and, probably would have carried that video on for a solid 10 minutes with video evidence of all the ways that Kevin Hunter did Wendy Williams wrong, right? But there's grace in that moment. And I wanted to bring that up because, we have these conversations where people tend to, want to be the one in the right or want to be the one that do all the reading and tell people left, up, left, right, up, down, straight forward, back, whatever the case may be. And I want all of us to take a moment and realize that we can be like Tabitha Brown when those people come against us, that we can definitely extend grace and dignity to them, even though they may say disparaging words against us. In that, it may not always be easy, but I'd rather do the right thing than to do something that I regret and go off because you don't understand the depth of love that someone has extended towards me that allows me to be who I am.
Yeah, I always find it funny that people have opinions about people's relationship. That's always very funny to me. Like, your fucked up relationship is doesn't have anything to do with this person.
Yeah,
I don't understand that. Like, where does that come from? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like, that's weird to me because, like, yo, Wendy, you just went through a situation. You really don't have agency to really comment on people's relationship.
None, honey. Zero. You literally have no space in anybody's place or space. Okay?
Yeah, like you, like, and then it's like, me, I would like for a young lady, possibly older, to retire my ass one day.
You working on it. I know you was working on that last season. I know you still, that's still in your.
I'm plugging away, Nikki. I am plugging away at that.
That's in your sights. I pray that upon you in your life.
Yes, and I when I see a king prosper, I get excited because I know it's possible for us all. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
Like, run, my nigga.
Run for us all. Run for us all. No,
I found that so weird though.
So here's my thing, right? I have enough going on in my immediate space.
Yeah.
That even if I don't agree with your relationship choices or whatever the case may be, I'm allow you to be in that. My girlfriend hit me the other day. And when she hit me, she didn't even mention that she broke up with her dude, right?
Right.
I had to find out from the streets. So when I found out from the streets, I was like, hey, just checking in. I heard that, things went left with your guy. What's going on? And she was kind of like, I wish I could show you the text messages and this, that, and another. I said, hey, let me tell you something. I said, if you don't want to go back, if y'all broke up for good, cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm not judging you. And I said, hey, if we talk 2 weeks from now and y'all back together, I'm still not judging you.
Right.
Right. because that's you. You got to live with that, right? Now, I'm of the essence, if you come to me talking trash about him, then I don't want to hear it. But because you didn't come to me talking trash about him,
yeah,
hey, that's you. That's your relationship. I don't have to see that man.
Yeah.
Right? Now, another thing, right? When she told me everything that was going on and what was happening, she's like, what would you do? And I said, you can't ask me that. Right? I'm just here to be a listening ear, because what I would do and what you would do are different. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you try to do what I would do, it's not going to work because it's not you. Right? These are decisions you have to make moving forward because you're choosing to be with this man. And I said, what my therapist told me is every day, if I can't wake up and choose my person, then I need to let him go, because every day is a choice. And every day I need to wake up choosing him. And the one day I can't choose him is the day I need to reevaluate if I should be here or not. Right. And I was like, you know, I said, now let that sizzle in your spirit and do with that what you will.
Yeah.
But that's all I can give you, right? So your relationship is not going to be based on my feedback, because ultimately you have to come to that decision on your own.
I tell people this shit. Only 2 people got to approve of your relationship. Only 2 people. And that's you and the person you're in a relationship with. That's it. Like, really, nobody else fucking matters.
Nobody. That's what I said. Like, look, at the end of the day, if y'all break up, cool. If you hit me in 2 weeks, y'all still together, it's still cool. So where we going for dinner? Like, that's literally, you know, double date is just me and you, girl. Like, what we doing? Like, that's literally my thought process on it all. But
yeah, we definitely need to change the way we look at the way we interpret, the way we look at, the way we perceive the way a relationship needs to be. We need to definitely take a hard look at that shit too, because that shit ain't for everybody, you know. And it's not cookie cutter. It's not,
man. But you know, we just hit an hour on our pod. You know, we got to give the people back some time into their day. But anything else you want to touch on before we out of here?
You know what? I was going to touch on another topic, but I tell you what, let's save that for next week.
Perfect.
Let's save that for next week, and let's allow
we got to go get ready for it. You know, I ain't even saying for Independence Day. We just going to go. We getting ready for the barbecue. So,
right, barbecue, seafood boys on deck. So
that's it, man. But we thank you guys for tuning in. Please remember to go and like, subscribe, rate, 5-star only. If it's less than 5, keep it to yourself. But hit us up, YouTube, Apple. What we got? SoundCloud,
Google. You know, I mean, everything you can possibly
jump on it. We everywhere. So what?
YouTube.
What's next? Thanks for look, I can't even get it out. Thanks for joining us for topics that we're covering today that you won't hear about tomorrow.
I've been wide awake for about a month now, grinding it up. Mama done told me nothing easy, like, boy, get your ass up. Chewing up, I put in the work now. Blessings counting up. Look at them haters frowning up, so I flex to rile them up. Hey, look at my boss, plenty the cars, check my flaws. You can ignore, come to the house, give you a tour, take your shoes and dirt on my floor. I let it taste good. She with more, out of the rain, the blessings coming and pour. Yeah, I spent the bag on the bundle. Turn around and take a